Hello everybody and welcome to the Mario Sluggers League.
So we have a very special type of video for you today. This is the first time we've done something like this, but we are going to be trying to rank the top 25 Mario Sluggers League players based on their resumes, their legacy, and their accolades. So like I said, this is going to be a different type of video where it's going to be more of a discussion. So as you can see, we have a currently discussing tier. So we're going to put a player into this tier, discuss them, try to see where they fall, and yeah, we're going to see what happens. So I think whenever we're talking about the top 25 players in the league, the first player we got to discuss is Petey Pirahna. Because, I mean, Petey Pirahna has dominated the league as long as it's been around. And I can read some of his accolades real quick. He is a 3-time champion in a league that has only had 4 seasons, which is ridiculous. He's a former Slugger of the Year, former Finals MVP, as well as a 2-time All-Star. So, I mean, is there really any debating that he should be top 5?
I agree. PD should be top 5. The last season he didn't do the best because mostly everyone was afraid of him. But he is a 3-time world champion. I feel like he should definitely be in the top 5.
Even if he didn't get many hits last season, he still got on base with the beanballs, and he's only like one of the only players to have hit a home run in the league. So yeah.
I think Petey should absolutely be in the top 5. He's been arguably the most dominant player on the most dominant team in the league, so absolutely.
And people like to give Petey a lot of crap last season because he just kept getting beanballed, wasn't really putting up crazy amount of numbers, but he was one of the top scorers for the Bows, one of the top players who got home. So it's not like he was just going out there and doing nothing.
And if the other team is willingly choosing to walk you instead of trying to strike you out, that shows that they are afraid, and they are afraid for a reason.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're all in agreement that we can put Petey top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And once these tiers fill up, then we can organize them in the order we see fit. All right, so I'll let one of you guys decide the next player you want to discuss.
I think I want to bring my captain Luigi to the table. Luigi has a lot of accolades. He was one of the most improved players in, I think, Season 1. Yeah, so he was a breakout star of the year in Season 1. He was a pitcher of the year in the most recent season, Season 4. And he was a 3-time All-Star for Seasons 2, 3, and 4. So he's had a team pretty much the entire way through ever since Season 2. When he started captaining his own team. The Knights have always been kind of a fan favorite amongst a lot of people. And they've made it to the World Series one time, and he's just been a really good pitcher overall. So I would recommend him for the top 5.
I think that Luigi might not be in the top 5, and that's only because he's never won a championship, unlike some of the other players I've been thinking should be in the top 5. But that's not to say that Luigi isn't fantastic, because obviously he's made it to the playoffs, and I think every season that he's been a team. And he obviously got in the World Series that one time in Season 3.
Because I agree with you. That is the biggest knock on Luigi's career right now, is that he is one of the few great players in the league who has yet to win a championship. Mm-hmm. But it is also hard to argue with the consistency. I mean, ever since we have had the All-Star game, he has been in it. And he has been holding down the fort for the Knights. And like you said, a consistent playoff team. But I don't know. He probably belongs on either the 5 or 6 range, but I don't know. This is a tough one.
I think he should be top 5 just because he had such a dominant season last season, and he took the pitcher of the year from the 3-time pitcher of the year Waluigi. So I think he deserves at least like top 5.
Okay, so we'll put him top 5 for now. But you mentioned Waluigi. Let's go ahead and talk about him.
Yeah.
Because Waluigi is a very interesting player in the league. Because unlike Luigi, he is a former champion in Season 2 on the Bows. And Waluigi has done something that no other player has done. And he has won an award 3 times in a row, being a 3-time pitcher of the year. That is just ridiculous. Not even to mention that he's a 2-time All-Star.
Yep.
So, I mean, debatably the greatest pitcher in Mario Sluggers League history. It's hard to argue against him being top 5.
I definitely agree with him being top 5. The 3-time pitcher of the year, almost as long as the league's been going on, is extremely important. He is a former champion. He's got all those things that he needs. He didn't do as well the last season, but that really doesn't matter because he's already got all these accolades in place. And he could just as easily come back this next season and show his stuff again. So I feel like based upon all those accolades he's got, he definitely should be in the top 5.
I think Waluigi should also absolutely be in the top 5, and I'd put him at like the number 2 best player in the league because, like we've been saying, three-time pitcher of the year is just unreal. Waluigi was dominating the pitching in the league for 3 seasons in a row, and that's just something that we can't ignore.
Yeah, I think he deserves the number 2 spot because he's just super hard to hit off of, and he's gotten some base hits here and there. So yeah, I think he deserves that.
Because even last season, when he wasn't as dominant as he has been in the past, he still was able to be good in a different way, as he was doing a lot better batting than he was pitching. So I'm just going to put him top 5 for now, and then we can do the order afterwards. So is there another player we want to bring up in this top 5 discussion?
Maybe Boshi.
Boshi, top 5? We'll discuss him. Well, my ears are open. Boshi's probably my favorite player in the league, with an extreme bias. But so Boshi's resume: he's a former Mario Sluggers League champion and a 2-time All-Star. So I don't know about top 5 for young Boshi. He's a rising star, but also he hasn't been in the league for half of all of it.
I feel like Boshi definitely deserves to be on this list somewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I don't know if it's top 5 yet. I feel like he might get there one day. But as of now, I think he's either in the 6 to 10 or 11 to 15 range, maybe even 15 to 20. He has had a lot of stuff going for him. He is a former champion. He's really started to show his stuff in these previous especially the previous season, but even the one before that. He's really good in the outfield, had some pretty decent hits. And so I feel like he is on the list for sure. I feel like I would go towards... I think we'll have to wait a little bit before we actually rank him, but I'm leaning towards 11 to 15 range, maybe 6 to 10 range.
I definitely agree with the Knights GM. Boshi has a lot of potential, and he's really good. He's a very good star hitter, and he's really good in the outfield. And I feel like if Boshi keeps up what he's doing, then he might get into the top 5 spot someday. But for now, I think 6 to 10 or 11 to 15, definitely for Boshi.
Yeah, well, I think he's one of the Bo's best players, really good on defense and pretty good on offense. The only thing is he hasn't played as long as other players, but I don't think we should knock him for that. So I think either like 6 through 10, since there's other players we haven't discussed yet.
Because I think the real issue with discussing Boshi this early is that Boshi's an extremely productive, extremely accomplished, talented player. It's just I feel like at this stage in the league, other players have just accomplished more than him. So I say we just put him in undecided for now and we revisit him later.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what's the next player we should discuss?
How about Herman?
Oh, yeah. All right, Herman's a good one. Herman is definitely a good one. Herman, one of the most consistent players all throughout the league. He was a former Mario Sluggers League champion whenever the rookies won it in Season 3, as well as a 3-time All-Star. So just like Luigi, as long as the All-Star game has been around, Herman has been in it. So where are we thinking about putting him?
I think either 1 to 5 or 6 to 10. I don't think he can go lower than that because, he's super good on pitching. He's pretty good on offense too, and he's won a championship unlike Luigi, and Luigi's
That's
in
true.
the top 5. So I think he deserves either a spot in 1 to 5 or 6 to 10.
All right, well, let's hear from the rookies GM. Hopefully, going to be no bias here.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard not to bias because, honestly, Herman is probably my favorite player in the league, but, Herman has always been a part of, my big 3 in the rookies, that being Bowser Jr., Boo, and Herman. Herman is a really good pitcher. I think he's slightly less good at pitching than Boo is, but he's also better at hitting than Boo is. And Herman has always been, one of my 3 best players. So I think either 1 to 5 or 6 to 10, like the Monkeys GM said. And I'm leaning towards 1 to 5, but that might just be because of my bias, and we'll have to see which other players we think should go in 1 to 5.
I definitely feel like he deserves to be near the top. He is it is important to remember that he is more of a relief pitcher than a main pitcher because he's not always on the forefront. He only steps in when the other people are down. He does hold his own very well. He is a very good pitcher, and he has struck out some really good things. He's always been in the All-Star game basically ever since Season 2, and all the fans really love him. He's always gotten voted in. Has a lot of storied history throughout the league. And so I definitely feel like he deserves to be near the top. I don't know if it's enough to give him 1 through 5 range, but I think I'd lean towards maybe 6 through 10.
I agree with you there. Because I think the real thing that's holding back Herman from being in that 1 to 5 range is a good individual accomplishment. Because he won a championship that one season, but that's more of a team accomplishment, even though Herman did contribute a lot towards that. And he's been in the All-Star game, but he's lacking like the Slugger of the Year and Finals MVP Petey has, the 3-time Pitchers of the Year Waluigi has, and even the Pitcher of the Year and Breakout Star of the Year Luigi has.
Yeah, because that's something else I would like to talk about is that Herman and Boo, like they're obviously really good pitchers, but they're both really good pitchers, so neither of them can really get one accomplishment over the other one. So like maybe if Boo leaves me next season, then Herman can finally come into his own, and he'll finally get Pitcher of the Year. But like if I have both of them on the team, then neither one really outdoes the other, so they can't really get Pitcher of the Year.
All right, so after all that, I'm thinking maybe the 6 to 10 range for Herman.
Yeah.
Maybe we can bump him up, move him down as fit.
6 to 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good spot for Herman. And I mean, while we're on the subject of rookies, pitchers, might as well throw Boo into that conversation, who we mentioned before. And like you said, Boo, a very good pitcher, was the other half of the Herman rookies pitching duo. And I mean, just like Herman, he's a 3-time All-Star, former champion, but really lacking that individual award. So what do you guys think about Boo?
I think that if we put Herman in a 6 to 10, then Boo has to go with him, because neither one really outdoes the other one. So I think Boo and Herman are like a package deal, because Boo obviously, I think personally, since I'm using him, he's better at pitching than Herman, but Herman is better at hitting, because Boo's star powers don't have as much power as Herman's does. So I think Boo should go right next to Herman.
Yeah, I think Boo should either go in front of Herman, or I think he should go in front of Herman because he's just such a good pitcher, super hard to hit off of, and you know he's gotten some good star hits here and there. So I think he deserves above Herman, but not like next to Waluigi.
Yeah, and because Boo and Herman do have the exact same resume.
That's true. Boo is also a 3-time All-Star champion, on the champion team of Season 3. So I feel like he's right along with Herman there. He's the main pitcher to Herman's assist pitching. Mm-hmm. So he has done a lot of stuff, and I feel like he'll continue to do stuff as we go throughout the league in the future. But I don't think he has the accolades to stand up in the 1 to 5 range just yet. I think he's right below that, 6 to 10, has a lot of potential for the future. So I think that is the case, but he should be in the 6 to 10 range.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. All right, so this is off topic, but who do you guys think's the Batman and who's the Robin between Boo and Herman?
I think
Herman's the Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herman is definitely Robin.
Because Herman is the relief pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, so what player we want to discuss next?
I'm surprised we've gone this long and we haven't talked about the GOAT yet.
That is true.
He's
he
the
is
GOAT
known
for a
as
reason.
the GOAT. So obviously he has that GOAT nickname, and that nickname may have started as a little bit of the joke, but he has surprisingly done a decent job at backing up that nickname. Because, I mean, he is a 2-time champion as well as being a 2-time All-Star. So, obviously, less All-Star appearances than Herman and Boo, but he is a 2-time champion, and we elevated Petey up into 1 through 5 just from being a 3-time champion. So I would say the GOAT's probably flirting around that 6 to 10 or 11 to 15 range. So what do you guys think?
I think he should be in 11 to 15 just because there are still some dominant players that we haven't talked about, and also, you know, the GOAT, he's good, but like he doesn't have anything like super good about him like Herman and Boo have pitching. Well, all of those players have pitching that are up there, and then Petey is just such a good slugger. But he's still a decent player, and one of the best Toads. So I think 11 to 15.
I'm also thinking 11 to 15. He was on the champion team, and that is important. But it wasn't just him that got him that award. He got it with the rest of his team. And being an all-star is a very, very good thing, but that means you're loved very well by the fans. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have done the best in the season. Usually it does, but not always. So he has been pretty good on his team, done quite a few good things. Somewhat fallen off in the last couple seasons, but still decent. So I feel like he deserves to be in this mid-range here, 11 to 15.
And I mean, I agree, 11 to 15. But in defense of our All-Star games, I don't think he's ever been voted to a team by the fans. I think he's always been appointed by the GMs because of his solid play. Mm-hmm. And, however, I do think if the GOAT was on any other team other than the Bows, he probably would not have those all-star appearances just because the Bows are always such a good team and the GOAT's always such a good piece on that team that he has definitely elevated himself in his career. But I'm good with that 11 to 15 range.
I think GOAT should be in 6 to 10. But,
really?
Yep, but as we go over more players, I might change my mind because we still haven't gone over like Gray Shy Guy, Bowser Jr., Birdo, Boomerang Bro. Those players could be considered 6 to 10 players, or maybe even 1 to 5. But I think GOAT's accomplishments are more to do with him being a good player and not just the fans liking him. But GOAT has always been really inconsistent because he really wasn't that fantastic last year. But yeah, I think GOAT should definitely be in either 6 to 10 or 11 to 15.
I'm not going to lie. I think you guys are underrating the season the GOAT had last year because he was an all-star last year. And sure, he didn't really do a ton in the playoffs and in the World Series, but that doesn't mean he had a bad regular season. But
That's true.
So if we all decided on the GOAT being there, we haven't even brought up any of the MVPs in the league yet.
Yeah.
So I think to start off that discussion, we should have the very first ever league MVP and captain of the Birdo Bows, Birdo. Because Birdo is a very, very controversial player in the league because it seems like the Birdo Bows always have a lot of talent. They're good at drafting well. I mean, Birdo's played with Petey Pirahna her entire career, has played with the likes of Peach, Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, Boshi, and just all these great players. And she's got the resume because of that as a 3-time champion and an MVP in Season 1, as well as being an All-Star this last season. So what do you guys think about Birdo?
Birdo is an extremely difficult player to rank because she's had very high highs and very low lows. Mm-hmm. She's done amazing things for all the stuff that she's done. She's been the leader of the Birdo Bows, which have been a 3-time former champion for 3 of the seasons. Most valuable player for Season 1, an all-star in Season 4. So I feel like she definitely deserves to be in the top 2 ranks. I don't know if she deserves to be top 5 just because she has had those very low lows at different points in her career. But based upon the awards alone, I don't think she can go much lower than 10 at all because of how much she's done.
I think I'm probably not as qualified to talk about Birdo because I have a confession to make. I've never watched Season 1, and that was really Birdo's best season because she obviously got MVP. So I think the Bows GM would be way more qualified to talk about this.
I think as the Bows general manager, I've been with Birdo every single season of this league. She is consistently inconsistent. Because in Season 1, she won that MVP, and in Season 2, she was on the ballot for LVP. Was not doing anything in Season 2. Kind of had a bounce back in Season 3, and then, of course, Season 4, she was an all-star. But she has won championships at every step of the road, and I'd say that 6 to 10 range is good for her. Because if this was anybody else's resume, I think they might go a little higher. But just because Birdo has had so much help, like I think the Rookies general manager would have 3 championships if he was playing with Petey too for all those seasons. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But all right, so who would like to discuss next?
I would like to talk about my only player that I think could possibly go in the 1 to 5 range, which is Bowser Jr. So, Bowser Jr., he has a bit of an impressive resume because he won that championship in Season 3. He was Finals MVP in Season 3. He was Defensive Player of the Year in Season 1, which that's kind of surprising because I didn't watch Season 1, so I don't know how that happened. And he's a 2-time All-Star, so that's a pretty impressive resume. He's won two individual awards, and he's been an All-Star for 2 seasons in a row.
And most importantly, for me at least, because the All-Stars and the Defensive Player of the Year definitely help, but he was a Finals MVP. That means at the brightest stage, the highest stage that you can get to, Bowser Jr. performed, and he was able to win that championship for the team. So honestly, I'm thinking 1 to 5. What are you guys thinking?
Definitely in one of the first 2 categories. He's an amazing captain, champion of Season 3, Defensive Player of the Year for Season 1, an All-Star in 2 of the seasons. He does have a lot of accolades, and of course, just seeing him last season and the seasons before that, he is an amazing offensive presence. We started to see some of the teams start to walk him, especially in the World Series last season, because his captain hits are just so good. He's almost always guaranteed a double when he gets that off, unless the outfield knows what they're doing. So he's an amazing offensive presence. He's led his team to victory for 1 season. He's the only other team besides the Bows who have managed to make it to the World Series and take the championship. So I feel like he does deserve to be in the 1 to 5 range just because of that alone. He doesn't have as many accolades maybe as like Petey, but I feel like his presence and his skill definitely gives him that spot. And if not 1 to 5, I definitely say 6 to 10 at least.
Yeah, I think Bowser Jr. deserves 1 to 5 just because he's such a good hitter. There's a reason he's my kryptonite, and I think he deserves 1 to 5 just because of how good he is in batting.
Because I guess we all have a history with Bowser Jr. Because I guess it's a little controversial, but in the World Series, I opted to beanball him every single time he was at bat, as opposed to letting him get runs. And I think that just speaks to his offensive, honestly, dominance. Because when he has that star power, it's a double. So I guess we'll let the Rookies GM finish off this conversation.
Yeah, I think I know Bowser Jr. better than anyone. Bowser Jr. has always been like the main driving force in my offense. Because obviously, if I have some extra star powers, then like Matt or Herman could get solid base hits. But Bowser Jr. is always like what gets my offense rolling, or what gets my players home. And like as we saw in the World Series, my team's offense kind of was rough when Bowser Jr. was getting beanballed every time. And I did win that 1 game, but that's just because Red Paratroopa got that clutch hit. And for every other game I lost because Bowser Jr. wasn't there to advance my runners. So I think Bowser Jr. should definitely be in the 1 to 5 range.
I agree. Because, my strategy in the World Series was just let everyone on the Rookies except Bowser Jr. beat me. And, we saw what the Rookies were without Bowser Jr., and that was still good enough to take a game off of my Bows, but yeah, I definitely think Bowser Jr. deserves this spot. All right, so who's up next?
Boomerang Bro.
We can discuss old Boomer. All right. So, Boomerang Bro is a very interesting player. The Knights GM is actually, unfortunately, a little familiar with him, as he drafted him and then immediately traded him to the Flowers, where he then proceeded to pop off. But actually, his resume is a little more void of substance than I thought it would be. But he is a 1-time Slugger of the Year, which is a big accomplishment, and only a 1-time All-Star, which is actually interesting to me, because Boomerang Bro definitely seems like he's better than his accomplishments. So what do you guys think?
I think Boomerang Bro, he was on my team originally. He didn't do much, and I traded him away. And unfortunately, he seemed to take that personally and made that very apparent in the game right after. But even though he was amazing in that game and he earned Slugger of the Year for, I think it was that season, he didn't really do much after that. He's been a kind of low-key player on the other teams he's been on. hasn't really pulled much to the table, and I feel like he's kind of sunk back into obscurity just a little bit. He does participate, and he does well for the teams, but he hasn't really popped off aside from that one time. So I don't think he deserves to be in the top 3 categories here because he doesn't have very many accolades. I think he does deserve to be on the list, though.
Agreed.
Either in one of the bottom 2, 16 to 20 or 21 to 25. I'm leaning towards the bottom one, just because, again, he only has that one award and one All-Star appearance. So I feel like he deserves to be at least on the list, but maybe in the bottom tier.
Because I want to bring up something about his resume, because obviously he's a very good player, but if I can find this real quick, he has the exact same resume as Green Toad. 1 individual award, 1 All-Star appearance, which almost seems criminal. I'm not going to lie. But what do you guys think about for Boomerang Bro?
As some people might not know, my biggest mistake in the Season 4 draft was not drafting him and instead opting to draft for Paragoomba, which didn't exactly pay off very well for me. So maybe I'm treating Boomerang Bro a little too good, but that's just because I really want him. But I still think he should be in 16 to 20 because he was a really good player for the Muscles in that season. And he might be their best player in that season.
Yeah, I think he deserves... I don't think he deserves the bottom just because he's the Muscles, probably the Muscles' best player. And, yeah, he's their best hitter. I think he deserves probably 16 to 20 just because he's fallen off so much from his glory. So...
Because I think I'm leaning more towards 21 to 25. Not because he is a bad player by any means, but it's more the Boshi camp of he has a solid resume, a little more bare than I thought it would be, but there are just so many other players in this league whose resumes and all-time legacies stack up.
It's also important to realize that 21 to 25 is not bad at all.
That means you're a top 25 player in the league.
The fact that you're on the list in the slightest or even in the discussion means that you are one of the best players in the league. So I don't think that he deserves to be up in the upper rank just because there are, like you said, there are so many other players who have more accolades and more appearances than him. But he should, I feel, be on the list, but just in the 21 to 25 category.
And I agree. I say for now we put him in Undecided, and then as these fill out a little more, we can find his place.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gone a long time, and we have discussed all of our captains. We discussed Birdo for me. We discussed Bowser Jr. for the Rookies Gym, and of course Luigi for the Knights Gym. But we haven't discussed the reigning MVP Diddy Kong yet here for the Monkeys Gym. So why don't we hear about him a little bit?
Yeah, so he was MVP in Season 4, and he's been an All-Star twice. So, people trash on him for his hitting ability, but he's got that star hit, and that's what carried me through the normal season, even if it didn't carry me through the playoffs. He's just super good on offense, and he's a really good player. I don't think he deserves 1 to 5, but either 6 to 10 or 11 to 15.
I'm leaning towards, and so looking at Diddy Kong, I feel like Diddy Kong does have a lot of untapped potential, and I feel like he's only going to get better as the seasons go along. He successfully captained his first team last season, did very well, advanced pretty far. He was the MVP of Season 4, which is a pretty big accomplishment. He was in 2 All-Star games. So I feel like he definitely deserves to be on the list. I'm leaning more towards the 11 to 15 range, just because he hasn't shown his stuff yet. I feel like it's there, and I feel like he will get a lot more awards as the seasons go on. But now, he only has that 1 award, so I'm leaning towards 11 to 15, probably up closer to the top of 11.
Being the main rivals of the Monkeys, Diddy Kong is very good. His star hit is solid. It's not as good as Bowser Jr.'s or Mario's or Daisy's, but it can still usually get him a solid base hit, and on some rare occasions it might get him even further. But obviously his pitching is very good. He was on the ballot for Pitcher of the Year last season, and I think he's very solid. So I think, one of the previous GMs said, Diddy Kong has a lot of untapped potential, and he just hasn't been in the league for very long. So right now I'm thinking he should be in 11 to 15, because I don't think he's as accomplished as Herman, Boo, or Birdo. And I know that's kind of harsh, seeing that he is the reigning MVP, but he really choked in the playoffs in our series. So I feel like top of 11 to 15.
And I really like that. MVP is nothing to scoff at, because to win MVP, that means you have to dominate an entire regular season where there are 6 other teams with a ton of great players. But I think you guys are all right, because Diddy Kong, outside of this season, has always just been kind of a solid player, and he just had one really awesome season. Not to take away from that awesome season, because it was awesome, but I think I would put him probably right at 10 or right at 11, and I'm probably leaning more towards 11 right now. So I think if you guys are good with it,
Yeah.
Yep.
right at the top of this tier, above the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So who should we discuss next?
I think an interesting player to look at would be Green Kritter
Mm.
from the Knights team.
Because I guess you're the Knights GM, so do you
Yeah.
want to say a little bit about Kritter?
Yeah. So Kritter's always been a staple Knights player. Doesn't have all of the accolades as maybe as some of these other members, but he's always been a staying member of the team. Was a contestant for Defensive Player of the Year for one season. Who did he lose out to that season? Was it
I believe it was Green Toad.
Green Toad?
They were
Okay.
the 2 finalists.
Yeah, and they worked together on that. They were both amazing. He did pretty well last season, was a really good defensive player on shortstop. Stopped quite a few balls going past. One of the main core of the Knights defensive team. And he's been nominated for Defensive Player of the Year quite a bit, but never actually taken it himself. He was an all-star for 2 seasons, in Season 2 and Season 4. And while he doesn't have all the accolades, I do feel like he deserves to be on the list in some regard. Maybe towards the bottom area. And I feel like he does have a lot of potential. He's done a lot of good already. He's just never taken any awards to his name. And I feel like he will get that Defensive Player of the Year eventually. Maybe sometime soon. But I feel like he deserves to be somewhere 21 to 25, maybe 16 to 20. But he doesn't have the awards to back it up.
I think that, you know, in the season that Green Toad won Defensive Player of the Year, looking back on that and looking at their future seasons, I feel like Green Kritter was robbed of that, just because after that, Green Toad was just an objective liability for the Knights, and Green Kritter has kept on improving his hitting, and he was obviously the reason that the Knights beat the rookies, because he got that really good homer with his star hit. And I feel like because of his hitting and because of his defensive prowess, he should. I agree with the Knights GM. He should be in 21 to 25.
Yeah, I think so too. Just because he's been such a good offensive player, and he really shows up on defense, which is what the Knights are known for. So he's adding to that. So yeah, I think 21 to 25.
I agree. 21 to 25 is a good spot for him. Because, like you said, 2-time All-Star finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. And, yeah, I feel good with that. And while we're on the discussion, Green Toad is a very interesting player because he is a former Defensive Player of the Year and has since basically been benched by the team. Former Defensive Player of the Year, former All-Star. So we'll have the Knights GM talk about him.
Yeah, so Green Toad in general, he and Kritter were pretty much best buds. They were both the defensive core of the team for that first season the Knights showed up to play. Green Toad. He was a former Defensive Player of the Year. Somewhat similar accolades to Kritter. Let me find it on here. Yeah, so he was Defensive Player of the Year in Season 2. He was an All-Star in Season 2. So Season 2, he really showed up to play. But after Season 2, he kind of fell off a little bit. He's had a slow slump ever since. Season 3, he did worse than Season 2. Last season, he didn't do as good as Season 3. And he was eventually benched near the end. He didn't even show up in the World Series. Or not the World Series, the playoffs last season. So, Green Toad, I do kind of agree with what the Rookies GM was saying last when we were talking about Kritter, that he kind of robbed Kritter of that Defensive Player of the Year award. They were a good team together. I feel like Kritter was the leader in that team, though, and Green Toad was the backup. So I feel like he may deserve to be on this list because of that one good season he had. However, and he does have that accolade, But I feel like he would not be above Kritter. He'd be right along with Kritter on this if he's on this ranking chart. So I can't really see him going higher than 21 to 25. And I do feel like he has a lot of potential that he could eventually live up to. But as of right now, we're not really seeing it.
You know, I think Green Toad, he has had that one season, but again, a bunch of characters have had that one season. So I don't think he really gets anything out of that. And after, like, the second season? Mm-hmm. He's just really, like, sucked. Like, he got benched, and he's been, every time he's up to bat, it's either an out or, like, he gets someone out. So either 21 to 25 are not on the list at all for me.
I feel like Green Toad is a good player from a bygone era because that season 2 whenever he was dominating, was before the star powers were implemented into the league.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And so in that league, the league was dominated by slap hits or little ground outs to second. And because Green Toad was so fast, he thrived in that role. But after the rule change, Green Toad has honestly been a liability for the Knights. Like, not even a neutral player, not even a bad player, a liability. Because he always gets up to bat, always drains the star gauge. And honestly, I don't know that there's room on this list for him.
I don't think so.
I agree with the Boshi. He should not be on this list.
Yep.
And I feel like a big thing, we were debating putting Boomerang Bro in 21 to 25. And like I said before, Boomerang Bro and Green Toad have very comparable resumes. But Boomerang Bro was a borderline all-star in Season 4, whereas Green Toad is basically out of the lineup. So I guess we'll have the Knights GM close us on this. So what do you think?
Yeah. So Green Toad, he was an all-star in that one season. And of course, he was Defensive Player of the Year. So I feel like he does deserve to be on the tail end of the list, maybe. I don't think he deserves to be not on the list at all because he did show up that one season. And he has been an all-star in a comparable line of the team because we're not looking towards the future. We're looking towards the accolades of the past. So I'm unsure about this. I would be fine with either being 21 to 25 tail end or just not on the list at all. But I'm not sure at this point.
Here's what we'll do. We'll throw him in Undecided, and we'll see if at the very end of the list if there's room for him.
Yeah.
Because if there's room for him, we'll throw him there.
That sounds good.
Yeah, there are some players we still haven't talked about that have been super good.
Like, okay, so you all know how we've been running this popularity poll to decide who's the most popular character in the league. And we haven't even talked about one of our most popular players
My boy.
in the league yet. Monty Mole. So we'll have the Monkeys GM talk about him, as he's been your star player for a while.
Yeah. So obviously such a good player paired with Diddy. Doesn't he have a 100% batting average for Season 4?
It was not 100%, but it was... it might as well have been. It was crazy good. By far the best batting average for Season 4, which is why he won that Slugger of the Year award.
And obviously his awards are still super good. Almost the same as Diddy's, but instead of MVP, it's Slugger of the Year, and he was All-Star for Season 2 and Season 4. One of the reasons I actually picked him up was because of one of the earlier games, whenever Monty really showed up and won that game for the previously Flowers, and he's just been super good ever since, so... I think he deserves either 6 to 10 or 11 to 15. That might be biased, but he was one of my best players. And like even in the playoffs where we didn't do super good, he really showed up and was just super good. So
I'm a really big fan of Monty Mole. He's never been on my team, but I've grown to love him over the course of the seasons that he's been in. One of the things I think he's most well known for is just his clutch moments, because he pulls for the team whenever everything else is going wrong. He will get a run whenever no one else can get a run. He will get a nice hit when no one else can get a nice hit. And he is the one who brings things back from the brink. There's not really an award for that per se, maybe most improved, but he's never got that. He was Slugger of the Year Season 4. He really showed his stuff there. All-Stars in Season 2 and 4. Of course, he's one of the most popular players in the league for the fans. So I feel like he is definitely going to be on this list. He doesn't necessarily have the accolades to back up being in the top 5 to the top 6 to 10, I would think. But I feel like he is a solid 11 to 15 pick on this list. Right mid-range, a lot of clutch moments, fairly fan favorite, and pulls it together where it counts.
Because Monty Mole's resume is really comparable to Diddy Kong's in a way, because they both have the All-Star appearances. It's just instead of that MVP, Monty has a Slugger of the Year. So I think that Diddy has a stronger resume, but I think Monty Mole could find a nice spot in that 11 to 15 range, right up next to his captain. So what do you think, Mr. Rookie's GM, about Monty Mole?
I think that Monty Mole, we've been sort of knocking on players who've just had one fantastic season, but I think Monty Mole is the one exception to that, because Monty Mole's season 4 was like absolutely fantastic, and he was Slugger of the Year. He was easily the best player on the Monkeys, and during that one Fireballs game, Monty just absolutely dominated. And this might be a bit controversial, but he should either be in 1 to 5 or 6 to 10.
All right, brother, you're throwing out some lofty things there, but because you mentioned you hadn't seen season 1, and when you were saying he's a one-hit wonder, he was definitely not. In season 1, he went into the playoffs and was a shining light there for the Monsters, and of course season 2 he was an all-star. But then to turn around and say that he's a one-hit wonder but also belongs in the top 10, I don't know about that, because like I said, his resume is comparable to Diddy Kong.
And he's on my team, and if I'm putting him in 6 to 10 or 11 to 15, Monty Mole doesn't compare to like Bowser Jr. or Petey or Waluigi. So I think he deserves like 11 to 15 just because all of those other players are so dominant, and Monty Mole's only had like this one season in season 1.
So if you guys don't know, the Rookies and Monty Mole have a little bit of a history, because he mentioned that he passed on Boomerang Bro to get Paragoomba. Another player he passed on was Monty Mole. So I think he might be showing your Monty Mole bias there a little bit.
Yeah,
He definitely does not deserve 1 to 5, even if he was such a dominant player.
He is a stud, but...
Yeah, and I heard a lot of 11 to 15s amongst everyone. So
I think he deserves to be above the GOAT, but not above Diddy.
I agree. Alrighty. And so now another MVP we haven't talked about yet.
Peach.
Your former captain, Peach. And Peach was a dominant player, too. So we'll let you talk about her, as she was your former captain.
So, yeah, she has been a champion, most valuable player, which just those two alone are super good. And then you get finals MVP, and then 2-time All-Star. So she's been such a good player, and she was my previous captain, and I can say that she was my best player, 100%, carried the entire team in Season 2. And then Season 3, that's when star hits were established. So such a good hitter and such a good pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the league. So I think either 6 to 10, maybe 1 to 5, but she's really fallen off just because she's been on different teams, and she's just really fallen off in last season. And yeah, I think she deserves 6 to 10 just because of how much she's fallen off.
I am on the exact opposite side of that spectrum. I think that Peach is in debate to be the GOAT of the Mario Sluggers League. Oh. Peach is the only player to have both an MVP and a Finals MVP. That means not only did she perform in the regular season, she performed in the Finals at the highest stage. And also, she took, no offense to you, as you were the former Monarchs GM, but she took a team of jabronis
she did.
To the World Series, which was crazy. Beat the one-seeded Flowers. I think that was Season 2.
Yeah, it was Season 2.
But literally, what was her help on that team? Was it... I think it was just Hello Mario. And that was the only help she had.
Yeah. I mean, there was Blue Pianta who did win that one game, but
I
only...
forgot you had Blue Pianta.
Yeah, I did. But,
we'll get to him.
Yeah, she just carried the entire team. Honestly, I think I was a little too harsh. She definitely deserves 1 to 5 just because she got 2 MVPs, 1 Finals, and 1 regular season. So...
Yeah. So I do think Peach deserves to be in the top 5. She was a captain of that amazing team that got all the way to the World Series. Finals champion, most MVP in Season 3, Finals MVP. There's accolades. There's so many accolades that she has earned across the entirety of these seasons. And just because she does not perform for one season does not diminish the effect of the other 3 seasons that she had. So I feel like she deserves to be in the top 5. And She's had a great offensive presence. She's been a really good pitcher, in line for Pitcher of the Year, even though she hasn't actually won Pitcher of the Year.
She got robbed a couple seasons,
She
in my
did-
opinion.
Yeah, she did. And she's just an all-around good player. Good at bat, good at pitching. When we had stars introduced, she has one of the better star hits, in my opinion, where she can basically render 2 to 3 of the outfield completely unusable for a bit, depending on their gender. And so I feel like she definitely deserves to be in that 1 to 5 spot, just based on her accolades alone, not even considering all the stuff that she brings to each of these teams.
I think Peach should definitely be in 1 to 5, just because being the rival of the Monkeys / Monarchs, Peach's dominant season was really when our rivalry got started. And thinking about Peach just had a rivalry with one of the 4 best teams in the league, and she was the only one on her team that performed very well. So she basically just had a rivalry with the rookies all by herself. And obviously she's a very fantastic pitcher. And I also think she kind of got robbed of the Pitcher of the Year award in one of the seasons that Waluigi got it. So I think definitely top 5, probably the 3rd best player in the league.
I think I agree with you. I think whenever you talk about the greatest of all time in the Mario Sluggers League, it's between Petey and Peach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But now that the top 5's done, we'll come back at the end of this video, and then we can rank them in that order. But, okay. So I guess next, another good player to talk about, another former MVP, Wiggler, who's a interesting player in the league. He won a championship in Season 1 as part of the Birdo Bows. He won MVP in Season 2 as part of the Daisy Flowers, and of course is a 2-time All-Star. So I think Wiggler's a very interesting player to rank because he flip-flops from being a dominant player to just a solid role player on a team. So what do you guys think about Wiggler?
Wiggler is very similar to Birdo, in my opinion. Very high highs and very low lows. Maybe not to the extreme that Birdo has, but I feel like it's somewhat comparable because he has had very, very good accolades into certain seasons. In season one, he was a champion. Season 2, he was the MVP, which is an extremely hard to get award, and he was an all-star in seasons 2 and 4. So his first 2 seasons, he had very high highs, and then he kind of fell off in the second 2. I don't feel like that diminishes his contributions, though. He had some really good hits. He's a pretty good fielder, very tall in the outfield, able to catch a lot of fly balls. So I feel like he deserves to be on this list. And maybe in terms of, I would maybe go towards that, maybe very bottom of 6 to 10, maybe top of 11 to 15 range. Because he does have a few accolades here. And again, he did show up to play for those first 2 seasons.
Yeah, so I agree because, you know, even if he's not like a dominant player, he's still a solid player. And he's one of the best players on the muscles. And yeah, I think he deserves either 6 to 10 to 11 to 15 just because of how good he's been. And he's a previous champion and MVP, so those are nothing to scoff at.
I think that Wiggler should be in the 11 to 15 range because obviously he had 2 really fantastic seasons when he was a former champion and when he was on the Wario muscles. But since that, he's kind of fallen off. He's just been solid, and I think he hasn't been great enough to justify a 6 to 10 placement. And I think we were thinking about putting Boshi in that range, and I think Boshi and Wiggler have similar batting achievements in my opinion.
In my opinion, I think you guys are underrating Wiggler a little bit because, I mean, he's a former MVP of the league, which is nothing to scoff at. We put Diddy Kong at number 11, top of that tier, just off being MVP alone. And not only has he won that MVP, but he's won a championship. He's gone all the way. Mm-hmm. And because, I mean, when you compare his resume to Diddy Kong's, it's basically the exact same. It's just Wiggler's got that hardware. Wiggler's got that championship ring around his, foot, I guess. But so honestly, I'm thinking very tail end of 6 to 10, in my opinion. And like we said, I don't really know who else is going to end up in that 6 to 10 range. but I feel like Wiggler belongs on the very end of that, maybe pushed down to number 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Because I agree, he should be around here.
Yeah.
But all right, so who we want to discuss next?
What about Grogu?
Ooh, Grogu's a good one. Grogu's one of those middle of the pack players, was super, super crazy underrated for almost the entirety of the league. But I really like Grogu. And his resume is a little barren because, like I said, he's been underrated for so long. He is a one-time champion. He won that championship with the rookies in Season 3, as well as being an all-star in Season 2. But that doesn't, just because his resume is barren, doesn't mean he has been a slouch in other seasons, because he was a borderline all-star last season, and he's been crazy good. Made some crazy good plays for the rookies in that championship run. So what do we think about Grogu?
I think
we should let the two teams who had him decide first.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think Grogu, I'd say. I put him right around Monty, just because he's a really good defensive player, and there was one moment in my championship season when I had Grogu on my team. He won me my last game with the Monarchs just off of a normal hit, and I really like Grogu because of that, and I was sad when the Knights took him back next season, and I just think Grogu's a really good defensive player. He's a really good hitter, and he's a really good pitcher just because he's a Magikoopa.
Yeah. And Grogu has always been a really good player. He was one of the ones I missed the most when he left for the rookies in that one season, and I got him back right after because I missed him. And he has shown his stuff very well in all these seasons. He was a champion in Season 3, All-Star in Season 2, and even though those are the only awards and accolades he's got, you have to look at some of the averages he's had. He was one of the biggest relief pitchers last season for the Knights. Whenever Luigi was the pitcher of the year, of course, but whenever he had to step down, Grogu was there to take his spot. And so he was a good relief pitcher. He had a really good batting average. Very high batting stats in the 2 seasons he was on the Knights team. I'm not completely sure about the rookie season he was on, but he did really good in terms of batting, getting hits and getting star hits that would lead to the teams getting scores and getting runs in the first place. So I feel like he definitely deserves that mid-range 11 to 15 spot, just for the stuff that he's brought to each of these teams.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever he was on the rookies, being the rookies' rival, he was super good. He either got a base hit or just advanced players, and he's a really good defensive player. He was in the outfield for the rookies and is in the outfield for the Knights, and just super good defensively. He's actually a good pitcher too. He couldn't show his stuff in whenever he was with the rookies because there's Herman and Boo, but for the Knights he's been a really good pitcher, and I think he deserves above the GOAT, but not above Monty.
Grogu above the GOAT?
I think
I just had to talk up Wiggler, and now I love Grogu to death, but I think I might have to talk him down a little bit because he's been fantastic every season, but he was only a one-time All-Star.
That's true.
And like I said, he did play a great role in that Rookies Championship run, but I honestly think his resume is less comparable to the GOAT, more comparable to Green Kritter, because Green Kritter has more All-Star appearances than Grogu, and Grogu has been that guy who has gone to teams and has just been a solid addition to the team. Grogu in and of himself, you're not going to build a team around Grogu. Grogu's always going to be the 4th or the 5th best player on a team. So I honestly think I'm leaning more towards that 16 to 20 range.
Yeah.
Because although I said his resume is comparable to Green Kritter, I think all in all, he's been a much better player than Green Kritter, which is why I want to put him in that tab above him. So do you guys agree with that? Or are you still thinking 11 to 15?
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I think that's fine just because he hasn't had any awards, but still a fantastic player.
There are still a ton of great players that we still have to rank.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll put him in here for now, but this could always fluctuate.
Right. So there is one interesting player that we haven't really talked about yet, and that is Yoshi.
Oh, yeah.
Yoshi was a very impactful player, especially when it came to season 2. Was it season 2? Yeah, he was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in seasons 1 and season 3, on different teams for both of these. He was an All-Star in season 3. He's a 2-time champion. He has a lot of accolades, especially that 2 times Defensive Player of the Year award, which is very difficult to come by, and shows that he is a very, very good in the outfield. He's caught a lot of balls. He has an amazing star hit that he used once they were permitted in season 3. He's one of the better star hits. You don't know what's ever going to happen to it. So he has been a really good addition to every team he's been on. He's swapped between a lot of different teams over this season. I don't think, has he ever stayed on a team from one season to the next? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. Because he was on the Knights season 3. He was just on the Fireballs this last season.
And then he won a championship with the Bows.
Yeah, before that he was with the Bows, and then, so he's been swapping around, and he's been a very hot commodity when it came to the drafts, because everyone wants Yoshi on their team, because of all the stuff that he brings to the table. So I feel like he deserves a spot, maybe in that 1 to 5 range. We might have to bump someone down, or at least in 6 to 10, because he brings a lot to the table. He has so many accolades, and he's still things are gonna change as we go throughout the seasons.
Yeah, I think he should be in 6 to 10 because such a good defensive player with the tongue, and then his star hit is actually super good because, like, is it counterable?
I don't think so. I think it has to bounce 2 or 3 times before you can even grab the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so super good star hit because, like, even with Waluigi's and Bowser Jr.'s and Peach's star hits, you can counter them, but with Yoshi, I think that's one of the reasons people want him, because he's that super good star hit and super good defensive player. So I think he deserves 6 to 10.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Because another overlooked thing about Yoshi is that he almost won MVP when he was on the Knights. It's just the Knights record was holding him back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But so yeah. All right, who's next?
One player that I would like to talk about is Anti-Guy.
Gray Shy Guy.
Gray Shy Guy.
We're still deciding on whether or not we're going with that nickname.
Anti-Guy.
He's very great.
Is
The rookies went to that name.
Anti-Guy, or if you want me
I'm fine
to
with
call him by
Anti-Guy.
his actual name, okay.
Anti-Guy's great.
Okay, Anti-Guy, he's I've only had him for like, what, one season?
One season, yeah.
He's already like the second best hitter on my team, because obviously Bowser Jr. has always been my best. But Anti-Guy, he's had some really good batting stats, and I think that alone, I was hoping he would be in 6 to 10, but it looks like we're out of room there. So probably top of 11 to 15. And one thing to consider is he's only been in one season, so that might knock him down a bit more. And 11 to 15 is probably just biased by me.
My brother in Christ, you have not watched the league, and it shows. Anti-Guy has been in every single season.
Yeah, he's been
Anti-Guy,
every single season.
Because one great thing about Anti-Guy, I feel like Anti-Guy is a lot like Grogu, where he's the ultimate team player. Like, Anti-Guy is just a winning player. He does winning things. Because Anti-Guy is one of the few players that has been an all-star every single season. So he's along with Herman, Boo, and Luigi in that he has those accolades. But also, he has no other accolades. He is a 3-time all-star, but that is it. And so, honestly, I think definitely not 6 to 10. Definitely not above Diddy Kong or Monty Mole, maybe even the GOAT. But I think that 11 to 15 range would be a good range for him. Just because I think, in my opinion, he's Grogu on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we in agreement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty. So I think next, a player that has kind of gone under the radar, not only in the league, but just in these discussions, King Boo. Because I was talking about these players who have been all-stars every single season, and if I'm not mistaken, King Boo is one of them. King Boo has been an all-star every single season we have had that, and not only that, he has won a championship as well. So already, he's basically Anti-Guy with a ring on his finger. So, are you guys thinking we rank him around Anti-Guy?
I think he deserves to be above. I don't know. I think he's probably above Anti-Guy, but I think he's in the middle between the GOAT and Anti-Guy. Maybe above the GOAT. Just because along with having a ring on his finger and being a good hitter, he's also a good pitcher too.
Because he made some clutch plays in the World Series against the rookies.
Yeah, speaking from experience, King Boo, fantastic pitcher, and I think he should probably go in between Monty and the GOAT on this list, because King Boo is a solid hitter, and he's a really good pitcher. Like, he pitched fire in the World Series, and he was robbed of Finals MVP, but not robbed, but he was almost Finals MVP. It's just Blue Noki was just ridiculously good. But I think King Boo should definitely be in between Monty and the GOAT.
I agree with that.
Alrighty, and you brought up Blue Noki, and it's time for probably the most difficult discussion we're gonna have, because Blue Noki has played 4 games in her career, and she is a champion as well as a Finals MVP. How do we even rank this? Because Finals MVP, in my opinion, is probably the most prestigious award you can get, because that means you're performing. Yeah, that means you're performing at the highest stage, but also 4 games played in her career. That's just insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
I honestly am leaning towards just putting Blue Noki in Undecided and seeing where things play out.
Because, I mean, I think, as we saw, those top 3 tiers have filled up, and I don't think we can put Blue Noki above anyone there. But she's just so hard to rank. I think we should just put her probably in 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Because 4 games played, but also she has done what Luigi could not, and she has won a championship.
But I still feel like that's a bit under, just because look at some of the other players that have gotten Finals MVP. Like Bowser Jr. and Peach were both Finals MVP.
Yeah, like I said, that's the highest award you can win.
Yeah, but also Blue Noki's only been in 4 games. And
Bowser Jr. and Peach, they have lots of other accolades along with Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Like Blue Noki has not stepped foot in an All-Star game. And actually, I don't think it's 4. I think it's 5 games, because she did play 1 game in the night series. But she has played 5 games in her career, which is insanity. So I honestly think that range is fine for her.
Yep.
I do too.
Because she hasn't done anything bad, and she hasn't been in, 3 seasons?
Yeah, she has literally not played a game until the Season 4 postseason. So, yeah, I think that's fine for
She
her.
was super good in that, so yeah.
All right, who do we want to discuss next?
One other player I'm interested in who also hasn't played very many games is Rosalina. Because Rosalina, she showed up last season. She's a new player, but she really did a lot for the Knights team. And in terms of awards...
I believe she has the exact same resume as Green Toad. Defensive Player of the Year as well as an All-Star appearance.
Yeah, but she also hasn't played as long as Green Toad.
Yeah, so she has a Defensive Player of the Year award for Season 4. And she was also an All-Star in Season 4. So she's only been around for 1 season for that Season 4. But she really showed up to play and earned that Defensive Player of the Year award, which is a very prestigious award. She did very well in her season. She was a decent hitter, able to get people on bases, played at her outfield position very, very well. And she's also somewhat of a fan favorite amongst lots of other Mario Sluggers fans. So, I don't know. I don't know if she deserves a spot on this list because she's only been around for 1 season. But she has gotten awards in that time. So, I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks about this.
I think that Rosalina should probably go right next to her fellow knight, Kritter. Just because, like, she's a really good defensive player, and like all Mii's, she has a very easy to hit, solid star hit. And even though she's only been in the league for 1 season, she's definitely been one of the Knights' best players. So I think right behind Kritter is a very solid spot for her.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to rank her because she's only been in 1 season, while Kritter and, Grogu have been since the beginning pretty much. I think she might deserve 6 to 20 just because of how good she was. And, super good hitter and Defensive Player of the Year. And honestly, getting Defensive Player of the Year and All-Star in 1 season is super good compared to the other 2 Mii's.
I think at this point in Rosalina's career, she definitely has a better resume than any other Mii. But I feel like we should put her in undecided for now because there are a ton of other players who have racked up more awards than she has.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a few more seasons, revisiting this, Rosalina will definitely have a solid spot on this list. But I feel like right now we should probably wait to see how the rest of the list is going to play out before we rank her, just because she has only played that one season.
Yeah.
Someone that I would like to talk about that I know these other GMs might not agree with is Big Man Bowser. Bowser, I think Bowser gets a lot of flack, and some of it is deserved because he's usually an offensive liability, just because power hitters aren't really that fantastic in this league, and his star hit also isn't very hot stuff. But Bowser's defensive cannon cannot be ignored because there have been a few clutch plays from Bowser where just because of his cannon, I got outs when if it was any other person then I might have not gotten outs, just because Bowser's probably gotten the most outs on my team just because he's sent it to his son Bowser Jr. And I think he should at least be in 21 to 25 or just not on this list.
In my opinion, there are a bunch of great players we haven't discussed yet, and I think we can put Bowser in undecided for now, but in my opinion, he doesn't have a place on this list just because there's so many other great players that we haven't even got to yet.
Yeah, I agree. Just because the only thing, rememberable that he's done is hit a home run in the playoffs, and that's really... and being a good defensive player at shortstop. But
So I say we put a pin in this conversation and we come back to it later.
Yep.
But so another great player that we haven't discussed yet, Daisy. And we haven't discussed her probably because she's coming off of a not great season, but also she has a fantastic resume. She has a really good resume. She's a former champion, so she's gone to the top. She's a former Slugger of the Year, something that Petey and Boomerang Bro have both done, and we've discussed them on this list. And she's a 2-time All-Star as well. So, that is a really, really good resume. And it would be easy to just throw her in 16 and 20. But, does she deserve to maybe be in 11 to 15? Maybe bump out one of King Boo or Anti-Guy?
I don't know.
Because she's a former champion, former Slugger of the Year.
I think she may deserve... I do feel like our perceptions were colored a little bit just because of that last season, but she has gotten a lot of stuff done. She was a champion in that first season. It was first season, right?
Yes, it was.
First season. She went to start her own team in season 2.
And was the 1 seed.
And was the 1 seed, yeah. And so it was the 1 seed was Slugger of the Year, which is a very one of the highest... I feel like it's one of the highest awards you can get.
I agree.
That's why we are currently ranking him as number 1 because he's Slugger of the Year amongst all the other things he's done. But yeah, Daisy has done a lot of stuff. She was a 2-time All-Star, so yeah, I feel like she deserves that a spot in 11 to 15. I think at least.
I agree. But now
we would need to bump someone out if we were going to do that.
Yeah, here's the difficult part: is who do we bump out? Because, like I said, King Boo is just Anti-Guy with the championship.
I think we bump out Anti-Guy.
Yep.
And the GOAT has 2 All-Star appearances, but he also has 2 championships.
If I had to pick, I would bump out Anti-Guy just a very little bit, and he would be in number 16, I think.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would go with that.
So another really solid player who has come to life in the recent seasons that we haven't mentioned yet, Baby Peach. Baby Peach, not in the league the first couple seasons, but ever since she's been in the league, she has left her mark. Let me pull up her resume real quick, but I believe she has won a Breakout Star of the Year.
Yep.
Yes, she has. She's won a Breakout Star of the Year. She's a former champion as well as an All-Star. So although I don't see her going super high, I definitely think she should have a spot on this list over someone like some of the people in Undecided, like Green Toad or Bowser.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion, we were talking about how dominant Rosalina was in Season 4. In my opinion, Baby Peach had a better season. She hit super well, also pitched a clinic, was in MVP conversations from a few people. So I would say she had a better Season 4 than Rosalina. Plus, she pitched Season 2, Season 3 for the Fireball / Wilds. I don't remember what they were at what point.
I think it was Fireballs.
I think it was Fireballs and Wilds. Fireballs, then Wilds.
Yeah.
But she's pitched really well for them, was the shining light for them. So I think she definitely has a spot on this list.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like she doesn't necessarily deserve the top 3 for sure. But I feel like she would be a solid addition to maybe the 21 to 25 range just because she hasn't really earned as many accolades yet. But I feel like she has the potential. And also she has gotten a finals championship and done well this last season. So I feel like she should be somewhere in the bottom rung of this list.
Because I agree. I think 21 to 25 would be a nice place for her. Because she had a dominant season 4, but also hasn't done too much besides that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm good with
Alrighty.
that.
So who do we want to discuss next?
Do you want to do Baby DK?
Baby DK
DK.
is a very interesting one. But so yeah, Baby DK, a part of a couple Bo's teams that did win championships, and he was a decent part of them. I remember at one point a run, I think it was season 2, he got benched on the team, came back in against the Knights, and then made his mark and let them keep going. So I think he definitely has a spot on the top 25. But I guess Monkey's GM, you had him last season where he got his one All-Star appearance.
Yeah, he was super good in the first 2 seasons, and he's been pretty good on our team. He's one of our best hitters aside from Monty and Diddy, and he's a good defensive player too. I think he was in the talks for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, he was. He finished top 3, I believe.
Yeah, so he's got a super good record, and he's just a super good player, so I think he deserves to be on this list. I don't know where, but I just think he deserves it.
I think if we're going to put him on the list, it should probably be by Green Kritter and Baby Peach.
Yeah.
Because he is a
That's what I'd
2-time champion, but also he was on the Bows, who get everyone to be champion.
True.
But also the 2 championships are nothing to scoff at. So I think we can put him by his
Yeah.
baby sister.
I'd agree with that.
So I think this would be a good point to go back and revisit some of the shelved ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I say we start with Blue Yoshi, who has won 1 championship and has 2 All-Star appearances.
That's pretty good for only 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Boshi should probably go in front of or behind Green Magikoopa.
Because that's kind of what I was thinking.
That's what I
Because
was
Boshi's
thinking.
kind of similar to Grogu
Yeah.
in that he hits really well, defends really well, and is just a solid winning team player.
Yeah. It's like you said about Grogu. You don't build a team around Boshi.
Yes.
But he's a solid addition to the team, and he can do his role well.
I mean, if you're the Bows, maybe you do, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
but
So-
yes.
I love me some Boshi.
Yeah, so I feel like he deserves a 16 to 20 spot.
Okay, yeah, I agree
Maybe
with that.
right above or right
Yep.
behind Grogu.
We'll just put
And
him
we'll do
there
that
for
later,
now.
yeah.
And now we can go back to Boomerang Bro, who
And
I think
he does deserve a spot on the list, I think.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
I'm just debating on whether it should be 16 to 20 or whether it should be the last one.
I think it should be 21 to 25.
Same.
Because if he's 21 to 25,
I'm
guess
actually
he's-
leaning. I'm leaning towards 16 to 20, honestly. Maybe tail end of 16 to 20.
because what I'm thinking right now is Boomerang Bro had a better career than Baby Peach? And I think he has.
Yeah, he
And
I think he has.
I think he's had a better career than Green Critter as well.
I think he's not as
true.
good as Boshi and Grogu, so I think he'd be number 20.
Yeah.
But I do think he's better than Green Critter. Yeah.
He's better
has
than
he?
Green Critter.
Yeah, I think he's better than Green.
I don't think he's better
agree
than
with that.
Boshi though, or any of those people up there.
Yeah, so I feel like he'd be at the tail end.
Okay, so we'll put him at the tail end of there, in danger of falling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so before we discuss any more, as I'm scanning who we have left, I think a couple more people that we should bring up. Blooper,
Yeah, Blooper definitely needs to.
because
Let's talk
Blooper,
about Blooper.
Blooper's a lot like Baby DK. Actually, has the exact same resume: 2-time champ, 1-time All-Star. And as we saw, Blooper this past season was on the muscles. He was a very sought-after player. But I mean, if he has the same resume as Baby DK, it's going to be hard to argue against him being in that 21 to 25
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, he's just been a super solid player.
All right.
So, yep, I think he goes there.
And then another interesting person to bring up, even if he doesn't make the list, Wario.
Yeah.
Because Wario has had some decent success in the league. He obviously is a champion
Yep.
and a one-time All-Star. So I feel like
Mario's
don't
been
know.
decent, but I don't think he makes the list.
Wario's also had his falls though. Is the thing.
because obviously he became the captain of the Muscles, and they missed the playoffs. And he does have the same resume as Bowser, which is something to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he deserves this list, but he's still been a good player.
Yeah. I feel like he'd be right off the list.
So we'll put him in Undecided right next to Bowser.
Yeah. And then
So
else is left?
another player to bring up, Red Kritter.
Yep.
Red Critter.
Who Red Kritter is, in my opinion, one of the more underrated players in the league. Very good defender. Good lord, he has a good resume. I forgot how good his resume was. Red Kritter is a two-time champion. He's won Breakout Star of the Year, as well as being an All-Star in Season 3.
Yeah, he's,
That's like,
That is a crazy good resume.
Yeah.
That's
We might
like-
have to make some room for him higher.
We
Yeah.
might have to.
honestly, I think he
may deserve 16 to 20 range.
I think he
Yep.
does too.
he
Same.
bumps down Boomerang Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I'm thinking.
I want to revisit Green Magikoopa's resume, because Green Magikoopa, we just put Wario in Undecided because he only had one championship and an All-Star appearance. Green Magikoopa has the same resume,
That's
Yeah,
true.
but
which I think is something interesting
Which
to
Which is
mention.
true, but I do think he brings more to a team than Wario has shown in the
But
past
does he bring
seasons.
more to a team than Boomerang Bro?
I think so.
I think he does.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he does.
Boomerang Bro has mostly been an offensive player from what we've seen, and while Grogu has done both, he's been a very decent batter, and he has also been a decent defender and a relief pitcher as well.
I mean,
So I think he does bring more to the team than Boomerang Bro.
Boomerang Bro has also been a relief pitcher for the Muscles a few times,
That is true.
and hasn't been that bad as a relief pitcher.
But like he wasn't as good of a relief pitcher as like Green
This
Magikoopa
is
was.
the top 25 players though, so if we're saying that it's not that bad, then
Yeah. Then
maybe they shouldn't be. I don't know.
That's true.
Because like I said, I'm a Grogu enthusiast, but also has Grogu had the career that some of these people below him have had, like Baby DK, Blooper? Because I would say
I
he's
guess
comparable to people like them, but I think I agree with knocking down Boomerang Bro to here and putting him here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
If
list is
that's
full though.
yeah.
Yeah, so
let's
we would need
see-
to make some arguments and see if anyone else deserves to take a spot of someone else.
So
but-
first, let's see if there's any omissions here. One notable one, Blue Pianta
Yeah.
has been a
Yeah.
solid
Yeah.
player, but I don't think he
I don't think
deserves
he-
a spot on this
Yeah,
list.
he's done a couple things, but he doesn't deserve.
he has
to be on
potential,
this
but he hasn't earned that potential, or he hasn't earned any accolades or awards yet.
Because he does have his one All-Star game.
That's true.
But that's not enough to put him on this list, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I think Blue Pianta is very similar to like Bowser, just because he's a very good defensive player, but he's not really that good at anything else.
And Bowser's better than him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he has a spot on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another interesting one, Paragoomba. Paragoomba, much like Blue Pianta, has had an All-Star appearance, as well as, I believe, a championship, although I may be wrong.
I don't think
no.
so.
Was he not on that championship team?
No.
Let me pull up his resume.
I don't think so.
No, yeah, only a one-time All-Star.
One-time All-Star.
So
So I
a
don't.
lot, a lot like Blue Pianta, I don't think there's room on
I don't
this
think
list.
there's room.
Nope. Definitely would be in the next tier down though if we had one.
Yeah.
And another interesting one,
Yeah.
LBoshi.
LBoshi.
and
Interesting.
LBoshi is very interesting because obviously he came into the league as a number one pick where he was not good.
Yeah.
And then even that next season, he still wasn't good. Almost got cut, was in LVP conversations. But since then, he has won a championship, a breakout star of the year, as well as being an all-star, which is a good resume.
And that's all in 1 year too.
That is all in 1 year.
Yeah.
I think we might have to knock someone down just because LBoshi's always performed the same as Boshi has. So I feel like he should at least go like in 21
25.
to 25.
But also, we got to think about this is an all-time legacy thing.
Yeah, and this
yeah,
is
that's
only
true.
one season.
Because he has had one fantastic season, but he's
That's
also
true.
had two turds
Yeah.
for seasons.
It's the same argument with Rosalina, because Rosalina's only been around for one season. And we're arguing about whether she deserves a spot in top 25 just from that one season's performance. Same thing for LBoshi.
Yeah,
Yep.
but with LBoshi, he's had 2 trash seasons while Rosalina.
Yeah, and then he also has 2 bad seasons preceding him, and in one good season. So does he deserve to be in the top 25 players?
I don't think so, in my opinion.
I don't think so
Rosalina
either.
deserves it more if we were to do someone.
Yeah.
Because also, this is of all time. If
Yes.
this was a just season 4 list, Light Blue Yoshi and Rosalina would be on there for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is why they were all stars in season 4. But yeah, I don't think he deserves a place. Another one, Toadsworth.
No.
Not going to be on
No.
here. Figured I might as well bring him up.
Yeah.
Another one, Matt.
No.
Figured I'd bring him up,
Probably
but I
not,
don't think he
no.
has a spot on the
Yeah.
Been
list.
super good, but no.
What about Dark Bones?
Dark Bones is... Oh, no, get out of there.
Get him out of there.
Dark Bones is another interesting one. Kind of like a Grogu player. I just
Yeah.
don't think he's accomplished enough
Yeah.
to have a spot on the
I
list.
think all those players are better than them.
Yeah.
Because he is a one-time champion, not even an all-star appearance to his name.
Yep.
So I don't think he has a spot here.
We never brought up Dream.
Dream's legacy, winning,
Winning one.
Winning one game.
leading the Knights to a playoff win against the Bohs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Green Noki's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Solid player, however,
I don't think so.
I don't think
Not a
there's
good
room for her.
resume.
She
Yeah.
doesn't have a single accolade.
Yeah, she was a
Really?
solid player in the
Yeah.
last season, but again, it was just in that one season that she showed her stuff and no accolades. So I don't think she deserves to be on the list per se, at least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So a couple other people who I'll just bring up who didn't make the list. Dixie Kong, good player, not room for her here.
Yeah,
DK, former LVP, not room for him, obviously.
that's a great award. What are you talking about?
Fire Bro just had a good season.
Yeah,
Did well for the rookies in the World Series. If this list were maybe 1 or 2 tiers more, he would definitely be on here.
Yep.
But I just don't think there's room for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
Another one who's like that, Koopa. Former champion, former all-star,
Former home
hitter.
run hitter. Yeah.
former home run hitter. But yeah, just not room. Another one, Hello Mario.
Yeah.
He's been decent, but he doesn't deserve a
yeah.
spot
Decent is not for the top 25 though.
Yeah.
here. Yep.
And finally, he doesn't deserve to be on this list, but I figured I'd bring him up. The
Yeah.
cover athlete, Mario, does not have an accolade to his name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Poor man.
So, if this is the list, I think we can go ahead and knock Green Toad out of contention.
Yeah, I don't think
Yep.
Green Toad's
Same
in
with
contention
I think
anymore.
Bowser and
Bowser and Wario, I would
also
knock
taken
out.
off.
The only one I think we should discuss is Rosalina.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you said, Rosalina had a fantastic season. It's just I don't think there's anyone you can knock off for her.
I
Yeah.
think.
I think that we should take that fantastic season, keep an eye on her, and then see what happens.
Same with LBoshi.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm kind of
yeah.
thinking too.
Yep.
And I feel like she will be on this list eventually as we
Yeah,
continue forward.
Maybe next season.
I completely agree. All right, so we
Now
have
we need to-
finally done it.
Yeah. So now we might want to do a little sorting out, rank the tiers a bit, and then once that's done, we've got our top 25 for the season.
All right, so we'll start with top 5.
BD, I agree at number 1.
I agree too.
yeah.
I think.
I think
So number 2
I
should
think-
be
think-
interesting.
I
think
think for
Peach.
number 2, it's between Bowser Jr. and Peach.
I think Peach.
Yes.
I think Peach as well.
Peach.
Peach carried a team to the World Series,
Yep.
Yeah.
Only player to win MVP and Finals MVP. I agree.
and it's just been.
And then I would argue Bowser Jr. third.
I think Waluigi.
I think
should
Waluigi or Bowser Jr.
Be yeah, it's definitely either Waluigi or Bowser Jr. Let's just look at their.
Yeah, let's compare
accomplishments.
their accolades.
Okay, so if we compare their resumes, they both have 1 championship. Bowser Jr. has a Finals MVP, which Waluigi does not have. Bowser Jr. has a Defensive Player of the Year, which he
Yep.
does not have. Waluigi has 3 Pitchers of the Year,
In a
Yeah.
row,
and they both have
right?
the same amount of All-Star appearances.
Yep.
So I think
so
we
they're
give
like-
the slightest edge
I think Waluigi.
to Waluigi.
Yeah, I would
think-
agree.
Yep.
Just
And then-
being a
Waluigi.
3-time Pitcher of the Year is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think the lack of a championship holds Luigi back from
Yeah.
being above Bowser
And
Jr.
Yeah.
Luigi hasn't been as good of a hitter as he has been a pitcher, so
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's our top 5.
Yep.
All right, 6 through 10. This one should be a little interesting because I'm immediately
Yeah.
going to advocate for Birdo being number 6. I
Yeah.
just think her 3 championships, you can't overlook those.
Yeah.
There have been 4
Yeah.
seasons of this league, and Birdo captained the championship team for 3 of them.
Yep. I would be okay with that.
it has been in contention.
I would also advocate for Yoshi being at number 7 though,
Yeah. I
right
think
after Birdo.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Because if
'Cause
we look at
like-
Yoshi's accolades, Yoshi has a lot of accolades.
Is
and
it
he's been
Wiggler
a
or
super
Yoshi?
good player.
Let's see, because Yoshi, 1-time champion, 2-time Defensive Player of the
Yeah.
Year, only a 1-time All-Star though, which is interesting.
That's true.
As opposed to someone like Birdo or not Birdo, Boo or Herman, who are 3-time All-Stars.
That's true.
It is true. That is
Because
true.
I think there is a
but-
debate there, Yoshi, between
Yeah.
those two.
Do we value All-Star more, or do we
I think we
value
value
Defensive
awards
Player
more.
of the Year?
Because I definitely value the Defensive Player of the Year more, but it's also they have 2 more All-Stars than he does. So what's I guess more, 2 All-Star appearances or 1 award?
I think 1 award just because. And on top of that, Yoshi's been a super good player.
Yeah.
Another
He's
thing,
always been sought after. He's swapped teams every season, which is another thing to keep
Well,
in mind.
Herman and Boo have always
That is
been
true.
on the rookies.
Yep.
Yeah.
But one thing I would like to point out is he did have a stinker season last season, which I know we said we weren't gonna
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
back from anyone, but also Herman and Boo have never had stinker seasons.
That's true.
They have been
That's true.
consistently awesome in the league, which is something just to keep in mind.
I think
It's just 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, though, too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
too.
was thinking. He's earned it twice.
Arguably the greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah.
I think I might have
Yoshi-
just talked myself
Yeah,
into Yoshi.
that's what I was saying. He's earned that twice. So.
just like Waluigi winning Defensive Player 2 years in a row.
Pitcher of the Year 3
Yeah.
years in a row, yeah.
yeah,
So now I guess I feel like
Then I think Boo.
Boo and Herman are going to be side by side.
Yep.
yeah.
The
Now,
question is, do we
who's
put
better?
Wiggler before or after them?
Okay, who's better, Wiggler?
What are
Or
Wiggler's
Boo.
accolades again?
Wiggler is a former champion, former MVP, 2-time All-Star.
And Boo's never won like an individual award, but him and Herman have been on a lot of.
So I'd
Pitcher
argue
of the
for
Year
putting
ballots.
Wiggler above
So
those
basically, yeah, Wiggler
Yep.
has the same resume as Yoshi, but instead of the 2 Defensive Player of the Years,
It's
and I guess he has 1 less championship, he has the 1 MVP.
yeah.
So I honestly think we put him above both of them just because of that
two.
MVP.
Yeah, that's, I'd agree
Yeah.
with that.
And then I
we
think
put Boo above
And I think we
Herman.
would put Boo above Herman.
because
Yep.
Herman's the relief pitcher for a reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that looks good.
All right.
Okay, so this one should be interesting because we have 11 to 15. So in my opinion, I feel like Diddy Kong should stay at number 11 just because he has that MVP and he's a 2-time All-Star.
I argue for bringing Daisy up towards
Yeah.
the forefront.
I'm
considering
split.
all those accolades we've just went over with
I
her.
think
I'm split. It's split between Daisy and Diddy for me.
Yeah.
Because Daisy and Diddy have the same resume, but instead of being Slugger of the Year, Diddy was MVP.
That's true.
And,
That's true.
That's
but
fair.
also, Daisy has won a championship. Diddy Kong is not.
yeah.
I'd argue Diddy
I
and
think-
Diddy and Daisy both being 11 and 12.
Yep.
And I feel like the argument is who is 11 and who is 12.
I think
I agree with that.
I think Daisy
I think.
should be first.
Yeah, I think Daisy should be first too, just because
Yeah.
Diddy was on the Wilds.
And he
For-
wasn't.
He was an All-Star season 2.
Yeah, but
But he was also.
And you could
one
argue
of the
he
bottom players.
had a stinker in season 3, but Daisy just had a stinker of a season.
That's
Yeah.
true.
that's true. But
They're very.
They're both very
similar.
comparable.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I value Diddy's MVP more than
That's
Daisy's
what
championship.
that's what I'm leaning towards.
I
Because
still think
MVP, I
Daisy should be
feel,
first.
is much harder to get than just an individual championship. Because
I
MVP
agree.
means you are the best player.
Yes.
Championship means you were on the winning team amongst
Yes.
all of your other
That's
teams.
MVP
That-
means you were
that's
the
true.
best player in the league that
Yeah.
season.
That's true.
Daisy's championship means that she played on a team with Petey Pirahna and Birdo.
that's true. Okay.
And she
Yeah.
won Slugger of the Year, so I don't want to take that away from her.
Yeah.
But,
The Slugger of the Year is great.
and
but
I'm
it's
pretty
also-
sure Peach was on that team too.
Yeah.
So Daisy played with 2 top 5 players and then also number 6.
And
Yeah.
wasn't Wiggler on that team too?
He might have been.
Yeah. So, yeah, Diddy and then Daisy, I feel
And
like
Yoshi.
is the best.
Yoshi was also on that team.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that was a stack.
Yeah.
That was a super team.
Yeah.
I can see why people think that I rigged the draft for myself.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now these next 3 should be interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess
think-
first I'll bring up the GOAT's resume because the GOAT's he might be a controversial player just because we call him the GOAT mostly as a joke, but also he's really, really good. But he is a 2-time champion, so same amount of championships as Yoshi above him, and a 2-time All-Star. So he's, in my opinion, just lacking that one individual award that probably should have been that breakout star of the year that went to Baby Peach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, he's been on a team with Petey and Birdo.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I think we'll look at Monty. I think Monty should probably stay above him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, the GOAT has 2 championships to Monty's 0,
But
which is
also-
something to look at.
yeah.
But also, GOAT really wasn't the main factor for those championships either.
I mean, yeah,
it was
the GOAT
mostly
was
just
a
he's on a team with Birdo and Petey.
He was a solid player, but also
Yeah.
Not as good as any of the other ones.
Because Monty Mole has his 1 Slugger of the Year and a 2-time All-Star. So, same amount of All-Star appearances as the GOAT. So, you could argue that the GOAT's championships were because he was on the best team in the league. But still, same amount of All-Stars. Because really, the main thing Monty Mole has over the GOAT is that individual award, Monty being Slugger of the Year.
Wasn't Monty also in the MVP ballots?
He was in the MVP ballots. I believe he finished 3rd or 4th.
I think it was 3rd, right?
So basically what it comes down to is the GOAT's 2 championships are Monty's Slugger of the Year. Because you could say that the GOAT's championships were tainted because he was on those teams.
Yeah.
Just like how we just did with Daisy. But 2 championships is still 2 championships. Because Daisy only had 1.
Yeah.
And she's still above the GOAT.
I still think we should put Monty first, though.
I still think we should put Monty because he was just one of my best players. I know it's biased, but...
Because another thing to look at...
I'm somewhat leaning towards the GOAT.
Season 1, Monty wasn't in the league till the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's true.
And in the playoffs,
That's
he did
true.
pop off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was in a losing performance. And
But
then
also-
he also got benched in Season 3.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of us like to overlook.
Yeah, so I would think the GOAT should get that just because I think 2 championships is worth a lot more than just 1 championship because it shows that you were on that championship team 2 times. What? And yeah, it's like, well, I know he was Slugger of the Year, but I feel like if it was 1 championship versus 1 Slugger of the Year, I'd say Slugger of the Year takes it. But 2 championships, I think, dwarfs that of Slugger of the Year.
Yeah.
But
That's what I would say.
But I feel like GOAT is more like a Boshi where you don't build a team around GOAT. He's just like a solid addition, and he got good star hits. But Monty...
you also don't build a team around
Yeah, you also
Monty.
don't build a team around Monty.
But I feel like Monty
You could.
brings more to a team.
But
than
remember,
GOAT
this
does.
isn't about potential. This is about the
What-
hard facts.
yeah,
this is about
hard
the
facts,
resume.
yeah.
It's not
That's true.
potential.
So it's
And-
what do you value more? 2 championships, 1 Slugger of the Year.
Hey,
true.
and maybe we
Okay.
put King Boo above both of them. King
Yeah.
Boo, 3-time All-Star. Every time the
3-time.
All-Star game has been a thing, King Boo has been in it.
Yeah.
As well as a champion.
Yeah.
So he has the championship over Monty, and he has 1 less than the GOAT, but also another All-Star appearance. So I still think the GOAT's other championship holds him above King Boo.
Yeah.
So
feel
honestly,
like-
it probably is back to King Boo, or it's back to the GOAT versus Monty.
Yeah.
Okay, I think GOAT should be first, and then Monty second.
Yeah.
I'm
I
okay
think
with
I think
that.
we should go GOAT. Then we have to go between King Boo and Monty.
I think Monty is.
I think...
Here, but back to the
Just a
GOAT
bit.
Monty thing. I think we put GOAT above Monty, but after this next season, Monty will probably be moving up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, okay, so on the King Boo Monty debate, I'll just read you both of their resumes. King Boo, champion in Season 4, 3-time All-Star in every All-Star game. Monty Mole, Slugger of the Year in Season 4, 2-time All-Star.
And
It goes back to
and-
do we hold over Slugger
It's-
of the Year for a championship?
It's the
Yeah.
individual award versus the championship, but also King Boo has another All-Star appearance.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I think...
I'm leaning towards King Boo.
Yeah, same.
Because also that one championship King Boo won, he was arguably the best player, second best player on the team during
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
It feels dirty putting Monty at 15, but
Yeah.
you know he's going to move up
yeah, it's
as
the
time
same
goes
thing.
on.
He's gonna move up as time goes on.
Now,
16
16 to 20, Blue Noki is
This is
may need to move a little bit.
I
Because
think
Blue
This
Noki
one's
is,
gonna be
like we
hard.
said before, Blue Noki is a super hard player to rank.
has played 5 games.
5 games, but has done super well in most of those 5 games.
I still think people like Red Kritter should be above
But if
Blue Noki.
But I also kind of bring it back to what we were talking about with Rosalina. We kicked her out because she only played 1 season. Blue Noki's only played 5 games.
Yeah.
Does she deserve to be in the best 25 of the entire season?
Here's the thing, though.
best
Rosalina has played only 1 season, and she played good defensively and did all that. Yeah, you can say that she was a solid player. Blue Noki single-handedly won a championship, basically on her own.
Yeah.
The Bows were losing against the Knights. Blue Noki came in and single-handedly slid to home and won that championship.
And
That's what puts her above Rosalina, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
and Blue.
And I
Noki
agree
was-
with that. I'm just saying, should she be in 16 to 20?
You would think we should move her down?
Down.
Maybe not down to the next rung, but maybe towards the end of this rung, I would say.
Yeah, I think other solid players.
Because I feel like
are-
some of these other players in this group, like Great Shy Guy, Anti-Guy, or Grogu. Maybe have
Red
more
Critter.
of a historic record to compare to Blue Noki, who did very well and had a very high peak, but it was just a peak. You cross the peak of the mountain and it's done.
I guess, in my humble opinion, winning a championship is the goal in this league.
Yeah.
It is the highest honor you can earn. And Blue Noki basically single-handedly did that on her own, which is why I think I would put her above everybody else in 16 to 20. Because you could argue, you could argue, Gray Shy Guy has been great for all those seasons. You could argue Grogu has been great for all those seasons. Gray Shy Guy hasn't won a championship. Grogu has only won one championship.
Well, if
Has
we're
Blue Noki won more than one?
Blue Noki has only won one, but also
Yeah.
Blue Noki single-handedly won that championship.
well,
And I guess on that
If we're-
argument, Grogu
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
also kind of done that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, yeah.
Grogu was fantastic in season 3 in the World Series.
But also, Grogu didn't win Finals MVP. That ended
That's
up going to
true.
Bowser Jr.
That's true,
I'm
that's
actually, at this
true.
point, I'm leaning towards Blue Noki staying where she is and then having Grogu after,
I guess, yeah.
because they're both pretty comparable.
I
Yeah.
think I would agree with that.
You've talked to me about Noki, and I think Noki does.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And
now
then on
these
the
three.
final three, Anti-Guy's resume is that he is a 3-time All-Star. So once again, just like King Boo, just like Luigi, Boo, and Herman, every time there's been an All-Star game, Gray Shy Guy has been in it.
But look at Red Critter's.
Yeah.
Resume again. Like,
We need to move
Resume
Red.
again.
We're probably gonna have to move Red Critter up.
yeah.
I think Red Critter's been super good.
Let me take a gander. I gotta find his real quick.
Because Red Critter has a lot of accolades.
Oh, 2-time champion.
Yeah, so he might go. I think
We
he's
were
gonna-
just arguing about the GOAT's resume.
Yeah. Red Critter needs to move up to the top of this run. I
Yep.
think.
Red Critter.
I
That's
think
what
so.
I said.
If
I said
not-
Red Critter should.
Overtaking someone in 11 to 15.
I don't think we put him above Monty, but honestly, Red Critter has a comparable resume to the GOAT, who we
Yeah,
have
yep.
at
Who we have
what,
at
13?
Yeah.
Yep. 13.
because he is a 2-time champion, which is ridiculous. Like the voice of the Mario Sluggers League said in that finals, he was playing great defense that may have even had him in Finals MVP conversations. And also, he's been an All-Star and has won Breakout Star of the Year. So I think he definitely has a spot above Anti-Guy.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Probably Grogu.
probably
Yeah.
Grogu, and I would say
100%
probably
Grogu.
Maybe even Blue Noki.
too. Yeah.
Yep. I'd say Red.
I'd say
Red
he's
Critter's
right on
number
the border
16.
between those two tiers. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Red Critter is crazy accomplished.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
should, if he's comparable
yeah.
to the GOAT, though, shouldn't he be in 11 to 15?
Yeah.
He should be.
Because I guess he's comparable to the GOAT, but who do we move down?
Yeah,
Because
we
we've
have to-
established that the GOAT,
We've established
we
the
put
tiers
him
at this-
above them.
We've established the tiers. So if we're doing this, then that means Monty is going down to the next run.
But like having Monty in 16 to 20.
When you think
Feels
about
good.
it,
Is
though,
Monty comparable to Blue Noki and Grogu, though?
when you
Maybe
think
not
about
Grogu.
it, though,
Yeah.
Red Critter has won 2 more championships than Monty Mole. They
That's
both
true.
have won their individual accolade,
That's
Breakout Star to Slugger of the Year, even though
Yeah.
I would slightly put Slugger of the Year above that. But Monty has an extra All-Star appearance.
Yeah.
So
So I
if
think
they're
this would be.
I don't know. It's
That's hard.
It's hard.
I think we leave it as is.
I think we leave it like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I love Red Critter to death, but
Yeah. And then for Anti-Guy and Boshi.
Who's
Anti-Guy... Okay, so Anti-Guy, no championships, just the 3 All-Star appearances.
Yeah.
What's Boshi have?
I think Boshi only has 1 championship,
And then
but let me look. If Boshi has 2 championships, I'm gonna
I think
go
he,
crazy.
I think he,
I think he only has 1 though.
He has
Yeah.
one.
Because
Where
I
is he?
believe where is he? He's hiding from me. Here he is. Yeah, 1-time champion, 2-time All-Star.
Yeah.
2-time All-Star.
so do we value 1 All-Star appearance or 1 championship
I
appearance
think
more?
Boshi's better.
I think we value the championship over
Yeah.
the All-Star appearances.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because this was also the Season 4 championship.
Yeah.
So on a less stacked Bows team. So I feel like that championship would probably
Yeah.
mean more than like Daisy's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think just a little bit over Anti-Guy.
Yep.
Yep.
And now we're into the bottom tier.
Okay, so first, just off of eye glance, who do we think should be number 1?
Critter, I'd say.
It may be biased, but I'm leaning towards Critter.
I would definitely argue against Critter.
I don't think Critter is as good as
Well,
like Baby Peach or Baby DK.
yeah, he's probably not as good as like Baby Peach. So probably
Because
Baby
one
Peach
thing,
first.
not even thinking about Baby Peach, to put him up against Baby DK and Blooper,
Yeah.
Kritter has his 2 All-Star appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Baby DK and Blooper both have 2 championships
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
along with
That's
All-Star
true, yeah.
appearance.
I think Baby
Appearance.
DK and
Okay.
Blooper should be at the top.
Okay, yeah.
Now, who do we rank above the other? Because I'm pretty sure they have the exact same resume. I will double check that. Baby Donkey Kong, 2-time Mario Sluggers League champion. Although, Baby DK's championships came from the super stacked Bose teams, which is
Yeah.
something to look at.
That's true.
Hasn't Bloopers also, though?
But I believe Bloopers have as well. Although I will double check that. They have the exact same resume. Baby DK
think-
won All-Star in Season 4. Blooper won it in Season 3.
I think it just might come down to who had a better season.
Yeah.
Who has been overall the better player?
Because
Yeah.
Baby DK has had a good season,
Baby DK was in
This
Defensive Player of the Year conversations.
while Blooper...
But Blooper has hit home runs in the World Series. Although, Baby DK's had his moments too.
Yeah.
I feel like you could rank either of these above the other, and there'd
Yeah.
be a good argument for it. So we're just gonna have to settle and say
Right now I'm
Either
thinking
one.
Baby DK should get the slight
That's what I'm thinking
edge.
too.
The slightest edge, yeah.
Very slight.
Yeah, like you could either put either of those at the top, and I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so these final 3 players, I'm just going to list you their resumes. So we have Kritter, 2-time All-Star. We have Baby Peach, who is a Mario Sluggers League champion, Breakout Star of the Year, and All-Star. And finally, we have Boomerang Bro, who is a Slugger of the Year and All-Star.
So just looking at that, I think it goes Baby Peach, Boomerang Bro, Kritter.
Yep.
Yep.
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I said that Green Critter was going to be at
No, Green
At the
Critter's
top
just
during
been a
this?
solid player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green Critter should have Defensive Player of the Year, but he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Green Toad really, Green Toad screwing over
Green
Critter's legacy.
Green Toad
Yeah.
stole the championship and left off and jumped off the map.
And that's
Yeah.
why he's benched.
So that is why
He deserved it.
Green Toad supremacy.
Best player.
Okay, well that is our top 25 Mario Sluggers League players. If you watched the whole thing, I love you. Although I don't think I'm saying that to anyone. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know in the comments if you agree. And we will see you for Season 5. Goodbye.
Goodbye.